Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, from here we successfully designed our add employee page, and now I want to do from to this position I want to insert our employee. Okay, so if you want to insert this employee, for that reason here I have already updated our URL. So into the add I updated one of the URL. Our route will be as a store employee registration. Into the web route I have created as a store employee registration, and then in our employee registration controller I have created one of the method as a employee store method, and then in our employee store registration controller, that is our method, right? And that will be one of the post method. For the reasons I passed that our request and the $request. So friend, that will be just like our student registration. So better I want to take this data from to the student registration. If you go to our backend, that means the controller, it is the controller, that is the student, it is the student, that is the student registration controller, right? So from to the student registration controller, I have already inserted that data for the student registration, and I have already discussed about every part with you, right? And you can see that is our student registration store. So that will be just like that same here. That is it should be also generated one of the unique ID. It should be created one of the unique ID for the employee, right? So right now I want to do here I copy everything. Okay, I copy everything, I select it. So that is our last one method. I copy it, I copy everything from to this position. So that will be same. I copy it and now go to our employee registration controller, and after this here I paste it. Okay, so now we will customize it and we will make it this registration store for our employee. So that is our DB transaction. So I have already load the DB. Okay, you can say I have already loaded that DB. So right now it's okay. So DB transaction, that is a function, that is a use request, and there is a check student year. So before I have get that our unique ID with this student year, right? That means automatically it should be get that student year, that is year name, and after that it should be add that 3, that means 30, and then 1, and then the 2 and the 3. So this type of one of the unique ID I have generate. So for the student, so right now I want to create another ID that for the employee. Okay, that means this will be also the same. So here I want to do for the student I have used that year. So right now I want to change it. Better I close it. Okay, I close it, and I want to make it right now as a date format. I show you everything will be very clear to you. Want to use that date format with the year and the month. Okay, so that means I want to do whatever the employee actually selected this joining date. So this joining date, that is the first of all it should be get that total year, and after that it should be get this month. Okay, so that will be as a year and then month, and then it should be generated one of the 0 0 and 0 and then the 1. So this type of one of the unique ID I want to generate for the employee. So I make it as a date and then year, and I want to also get this our requested data. So that will be obviously as a start to time. So with this start to time format, I want to get that our requested data. Our requested data means, and that is the our field. Okay, so whatever the things will be passed from here, so that will be our requested field. So this requested field name, that means if you go to our employee add, into the employee add, that is our joining. So for the joining date, you can see I name it as a joining date. So that will be our requested name. So I want to add this, that will be as a request. Okay, that means a request, and request our field name as a join date. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. If you want to check it, you can also check it. Better I want to check it with the DD. Okay, DD, and then I want to check it with this DD and then check here. So first of all, I'll check it, then it should be better. What type of actually a date it should be get. I click as a save all. So right now first of all I have to check with this. Better I refresh it, and now I name out the name. Okay, I name it as a test name something. Okay, test user, and then test father, test mother, put some of the mobile number, put some of the address, select the gender, religion, date of birth. Okay, I put that date of birth as this one for this employee. That is everything actually for employee, right? And also I select the designation as a teacher, and then salary I make it as a $3,000, and then joining date, and for the joining date I select this one. Okay, that means automatically it should be get this our year, and then it should be get our this month, right? Because of all here I have already selected our date format, it will be get as a year and then month. So now if you want to check it, now I just also choose one of the image. I choose on the image, and after that if you click the submit, yes, you can see friend, it's now perfectly getting, first of all that is our year, and then that is our month, right? So that means everything is great. So now it should be actually generated like that way. For the reasons here I'm actually using it, that means it's perfectly getting our year and also perfectly getting that month, right? Perfect. So better I put some of the note for you, so you can also check it from to this area. I hope it's very much clear to you. And then there is a student. So right now I don't use that student. I want to take another variable as an employee. So that will be as an employee. So this type of one of the variable I take it, and then with our user model where our user type. So right now I want to get that user type obviously will be as an employee. Okay, that will be as an employee. Okay, so this will be where our user type will be as an employee, and then order by I get this our descending order, and then fast data. So that will be just like that same before. Here we don't need to change anything. And then if condition, if their employee is not null, then it will be get that I started with the 0 and then the student ID. So better I want to change it. I make it as a employee. Okay, that will be not the student, I make it as an employee, where I put that control, and with this control I want to update it every field. Okay, that will be the same. I updated that field, not that student too. I want to update it that the employee. I paste it. You can see everything is updated. That's the employee ID. I think you already know when it will be as a 2-digit, automatically it will be added the 3-digit and then the 1. And when it will be as a 3-digit, that will be as a 2 and then 1. When it will be as a 3, and then it will be as a 101, and then that will be as a 1. Okay, and that means after that 3-digit it will be added as a 1 2 3. So this type of one of the registration format it will be created. And then the student, so better I want to also change it. That will be obviously I take another variable as an employee with this user type will be as an employee. So right now I choose it, that will be as an employee, and then I get that fast data with this ID, and then there is our select ID. So that will be obviously as an employee ID, right? So better I have to change it also at a time, and that is our student. I want to change the student to the employee ID, and that will be as an employee. I select it, and then select it. And then also here we have to select it, right? So now I simply paste it. So that will be as a employee ID. I take another variable, then that is our employee ID plus. Perfect. That means that is also that is employee ID. Perfect. So here I simply updated, that means rename it to the student to the employee. Okay, and every condition will be just like that same before. Here we don't need to change anything. Perfect. Only we have to update it. That means we have to get that our employee all the data. So that will be our user type will be as an employee, right? And then into the final check, it will be check that our this ID number, that will be just like that same, and the user that will be actually created on the new user. So that is our user model. I have also support that user model, right? You can say I have also support that user model. Perfect. So then that will be same, that is will be created one of the ID numbers. So that will be our final ID number. That is a password will be as a Bitrip password. That means it will be inserted as data with this our Bitrip password. With it will be created one of the random code, right? And then that is a type. So this type will be obviously as an employee. That means our user type will be inserted with the employee. So now I want to change it as an employee. Okay. And then that is our code will be generated, name, field, and then the mother's name, father's name, and the mobile number, address, the gender, then religion, right? That means every field, if you go back, there is our employee name, father's name, mother's name, and then the mobile number, address, gender, religion, date of birth. So that is our date of birth also here, right? So there is a date of birth will be needed, and then the designation. Also here, from here we have to insert the designation, and then our salary ID, salary, and the joining date, and the profile image. So here we have to add multiple field. So we do have to add the multiple field for the better. After that religion, I add that two of this field. One will be as a salary, right? So if you go to our database field as a salary, so I copy it, so that will be as a salary. And our requested field name, after you go to our add page, into the add page, our requested field name also as a salary, right? So that will be as a salary. And then our designation, so designation is same, that is actually the designation ID, our database field name. So I name it as a designation ID, and also requested ID for the designation, I have also name it as a designation underscore ID. I copy it, so that will be our requested designation ID. Perfect. And then our DOB, that means date of birth. And also there is another one will be needed for the join date, right? So that is also one of the date format. Better I copy it, that will be just like that same. So our format, that means our user table field name, will be as a join date. I copy it, so that will be as a join date, and into the date format as a year, month, and the date, into the short to time, and our requested field name, or for the requested field name I also name it as a join date, right? So I copy it, so that will be as a requested field name as a join date. Perfect. I hope it's very much clear to you, friend. And here simply I use the same for the student. Right now for the employee, they have some of the extra field. There is a salary field, designation field, and then the join date field. And the image will be just like that same, that will be our field name as the image, because here I am using that our user table field name. Our user table field name for the images is also as the image, right? So if you go there, you can see the field name as the image. Perfect. So only I want to do, change that location, that is uploaded, not that student image folder. It should be uploaded to the one of the another folder as the employee underscore image. So here it should be save this data. Better I want to create this folder. If you go to your project and do the public, into the upload folder, so that is our student images will be saved in our student image folder, and then our employee images will be saved in our this employee images folder. Okay, so here I simply updated that part, and then everything great. Our user or field name as the image, it should be saved this file. I think, friend, I hope already discussed about every part. So for the reasons here, I'm not explaining it one by one again. And after that, I want to save this data. Perfect. Okay, so that means from here I is able to successfully insert all the data in our user table. And now also I want to, as I told you, I want to also insert that some of the data for in our another table. If you go to our school, I have created another table as employee salary log. So into the employee salary log, our this employee ID will be our foreign key of our user table ID, and then there is a previous salary, present salary, incremented salary. So here I also want to insert some of the data on here. Okay, so that will be also needed. I will discuss about that things later. So right now, first of all, here I want to insert it. So that will be our employee salary log, and here right now we don't need this. Okay, before for the student I have inserted that data into the 3 different tables. So right now for our employee, I want to insert this data into the 2 different table. Okay, so that is our student. I name it right now. I want to change that name. I want to name it as a employee underscore salary. Okay, so that will be as a salary. So this type of one of the variable I simply take as employee salary underscore salary. Better first of all I have to change it. Okay, so then our employee and the salary, I have also created another table, and I also load this model. You can see there is an employee salary log. So now with this employee salary log, I want to create this page. So that means insert all the data. So I copy it. So that will be as a new employee salary log. I hope, friend, you understanding this part, because that is pretty much simple work we have to actually apply. And into the employee salary, as I told you, it will be one of the foreign key of our user table. That means this employee ID. So I copy it. So with this salary, and that means employee salary, I want to access our this employee salary log table employee ID. So this ID will be our user table ID. Okay, that means user table, our there have also another ID, so that will be as a foreign key of our this user table ID. And after that, I want to add all that our field, another field as affected salary. That means when this salary will be as affected. So better I want to make it as a field name, our database field name as affected salary, and that will be obviously one of the date format. So date format data. So our date format data will be our joining date. Actually, you can see that is actually the same. Better I copy it. And then here I paste it. So our affected salary will be our date format as a date, month, and then year, month, and the date, and short to our requested field. Our requested field, that means for whatever the date I added into the joining date, so this joining date will be created. Okay, so that means that will be affected from here. So that is our field name as a join date. So now I simply updated it, our requested, our field name as a join date. Okay, I hope it's very much clear to you, friend. And then our next one, so next one as a previous salary, and then the present salary and the increment salary. So now I want to add all that field as a previous salary. So that is our previous salary, and then that is our present salary. So that will be actually calculated some of the data which I will do the things later. So right now I want to insert all the data from the salary, everything actually connected with our this salary portion. Okay, so whatever the things I will do into the salary area, so every data will be interconnected without this all that field. So now I copy that increment salary, because this salary actually you have to add that as a make that as a present salary. This salary will be your if you want to increment your this salary, then that will be as increment salary, and that will be our previous salary, right? Perfect. So that will be actually requested our which field, requested our field, our field will be as a salary. I have also passed that as a salary field, a name, I name it as a salary. So that will be our requested field. So I name that salary, and that present will be also as a salary. And incremented salary, I want to make it by default as a 0 right now. I will do the things, some of the work in here later. So that will be the incremented salary. I make it value as a 0. That means it should be inserted as a 0 value data. Okay. So after that, with this employee salary, I want to save this all information. So perfect, friends. So that's all I want to do for our employee salary. So whatever the things will be selected into the salary area. So from here I have also passed that salary. So when it will be save it, automatically it will be add on of the another user table ID, that means it will match with it, and then our affected salary will be our joining date salary, and then everything previous salary and our present and increment, everything will be as a salary. Okay, and only for the increment salary I name it as a 0. I inserted as a 0 value data, and after that with this employee salary I want to save this data. Perfect. Okay, friends, so that's all. So here I inserted some of the data in our employee salary log table, and then also and insert some of the data in our user table. So that is a 2 portion, and after that there is a notification as area. I make it as employee registration inserted successfully, and then our type will be as a success type, and return redirect to our which method I have also created on the view page. That means this directly our view page, right? So that is our employee registration view. I copy it. So that will be after when it will be done, after that it will be return redirect to our employee registration view page with that notification, and our notification will be as employee registration inserted successfully, right? And that is our AND method. Better I want to put as a AND method. Okay, that will be as an AND method. Perfect. So friend, if everything okay, now it should be work. Okay, so if everything okay, now it should be insert some of the data into the our user table. It should be inserted some of the data with our employee table. It should be generated some of the code, and also it should be generated one of the unique ID number. Okay, so now let's check this out. If everything okay, it should be work. Now click as a save all, and now go there. Right now our this table is empty, and also if you go to the browse to our user table, so right now there is a 21 as a student, right? So now I want to refresh it. Okay, and to refresh it, so that is our employee registration. So that is your employee registration view page, and now I want to add one of the employee, and I put that name as a Hassan. Okay, Hassan, and put that name as a Rohim. That will be his father name. I put that name as a Makhan. Okay, this type of one of the name, and then put some of the mobile number for this employee, address. I make it as a India, and then select the gender. I make it as a male, religion as Islam, and date of birth. You can also assign that employee date of birth, right? So right now I select it as a 2009. And select the gender, that means the designation as a teacher, so it will be as a teacher, and salary I put as a 3000, and the joining date. So joining date I want to do and to make it as a this time. Okay, automatically it will be generated some of the unique ID. So that will be our month, and that means that is our month and that is our date. Okay, so right now perfect. That means it will be generated one of the ID. That means for this employee ID as a 2020, and that is our month, because I have also passed it as a year and then month, right? So for the reasons it will be as a year, and then it will be as a month, and that is our date as a 1. Perfect. And I choose one of the profile image. This profile image should be inserted in our another folder I have also created. I select this image. Okay, I select this image. Right now our folder is totally empty. So if everything okay, it should be inside this data. Now click as a submit. Yes, you can see it's perfect. This is the employee registration inserted successfully. You can see, friend. And now I think everything will be very much clear to you. So that is our name as a Hassan. That is our date, and you can see that is automatically generated one of the employee ID. So for the employee ID, first of all, that will be as a year, and then that is our month, right? There's a 12 month, and then the 000, and after that it's started with the 1, right? That means every functionality is now perfectly working. It is automatically generated one of the year and month, and then our 0, and then it's incremented with the 1 2. Okay, that means we can able to generate it perfectly. And then the mobile number, mail number, joining date, salary, and the code. Perfect. If you want to add another one, as a test user, test father, test mother, mobile number. I want to put some of the mobile number and to put that address as a USA. Right now I'm using as a USA, and gender will be as a male. I make it as a Hindu. I make it as a date of birth for this employee. I make it as a this one, whatever you choose. I make it as a headmaster or assistant teacher. Okay, and the salary I make it as a 4000. Joining date also I want to change it. Joining date will be as a November. Okay, November. That means that it will be generated one of the ID as a 202011, and then that is our date, right? And then that is our profile image. I choose one of the profile image right now for this user as a this one. Okay, I open it. Now click as a submit. Yeah, you can see it's perfect. So that is our employee registration inserted successful. It's now perfectly getting this employee, and now it's getting this data. So if you want to also check it into the database, if you now click as a browse, now it should be inserted 2 of this data. You can see there is an employee, and the employee is inserted, a name is inserted perfectly, password is also generated, the password, mobile number, address, mail, the images, father name, mother name, and also generated that ID, which I have already discussed about that things with you. Everything is great, right? And also if you go to our another table, that is our salary log table. Now click as a browse. Yes, you can see there is ID. So employee ID, as I told you, that is our one of the foreign key of our user table ID. So into the employee table, you can see the 22 ID. 22 ID means in our user table. Into the user table, that is our ID. You can see there is a 22 and the 23, right? I hope it's very much clear to you. So right now there is an employee ID, the previous salary, and the present salary incremented. I use it as a 0 value, right? For the reasons you can see, that is I have used it. That will be inserted as incremented salary as a 0. So you can see inserted as a 0 value, and then affected salary is also visible. That means, friend, everything is great. Everything is perfectly created. So we successfully able to insert that. That means there is complete our registration for the employee. Okay. So in our next video, I want to discuss about how can edit it, and also if you want to visible this employee details to the PDF, how can display that details page. In our next video, step by step, I will show you everything with the live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.